Hello and welcome to episode 255 of the Paint All the Minis podcast. We put the show together so you can have something to listen to whilst you are sitting at your hobby desk and painting your miniatures of any scale, genre or game. Our aim is to have a relaxed and genuine conversation with someone who's as involved in the hobby as you are, from top to bottom, because we've all got our own unique and individual stories. So sit at your hobby desk, paint your models, listen to the chat. We really do hope that you enjoy. Turn into Scooby-Doo for a second there. We really do hope that you enjoy the content. This week, I talked to Tom of Warriors Table Wargaming YouTube channel. Tom and his accomplices put together a whole bunch of hobby content for us to watch and listen to, from The Walking Dead, All Out War to Malifaux and Moonstone, amongst others. There really is a wide variety of different things. I'm hesitant to say lesser known games, because that seems to suggest that there's somehow sub kind of other things, but they're not. But there's the sort of games that I really enjoy: tabletop skirmish games that maybe aren't getting the attention that other games get for no reason, really. You know, I think some people put some content together just because they think it's going to be popular, or that's popular, so let's do that. Tom and his accomplices, they tend to put stuff together that they enjoy and they want, which is really amazing. To have people putting together content of just stuff that they really enjoy is what it's all about. It was really fun talking to Tom, and he has got a definite, clear opinion and idea about what he does, and that made for an interesting conversation. I'm not going to spoil any of the content here, as you can follow along like you were there with us, but you may want to look up what a pie butty is. You might also want to look up what pea wet is before we begin. Thanks to Tom for coming onto the show, and thanks to all of the effort that him and his mates go to for the betterment of the community. Remember, if you want to come and hang out with us and connect with some like-minded, chilled, positive people, you can click on the link to the Discord, which is in the podcast description. If you need to contact me for whatever reason, you can email paintalltheminis@gmail.com. You can join our Facebook group. You can follow us on Blue Sky, and any other way that you can connect. If there's a certain way that you connect with people and you want to connect with us that way, totally fine. It's all about connecting and sharing this awesome hobby with everybody. Anyway, that is enough of the pre-ramble. Let's go.
Paint all the minis that you can. And when you paint your minis, listen to that podcast with Dan Adams, that is.
This recording may be all that's left of me. We've been lost in the jungle for 7 weeks now. Parker was taken by cannibals last week. Jenkins the week before by foul water. Poisonous vipers got the rest the week before that. It's just me now, and I don't know if I'll make it. But wait a second. I think I have a bit of a cell phone signal. Wait a second. I have a cell phone signal. That means I'm saved. I can catch up on Paint All the Minis. Look at that. There's a new painting tutorial, and this guy's using Vallejo Orange Brown. This is amazing. Everything. Oh wait, is that the cannibals again?
So hey, I am here with Mr. Tom. How's it going, Tom?
Hello, I'm all good, thank you.
Mr. Tom, you can go in two directions for this. Good night, Mr. Tom, or Major Tom. Which one resonates most with you?
I mean, as a history teacher, I feel like I've spammed both way too much in lessons and subjected kids to too much early trauma with Goodnight, Mr. Tom. So, we'll go the musical route, being in the Northwest.
Yeah, are you a David Bowie fan? Do you like David Bowie music?
I feel like, I'm a metalhead, so I'm a little bit too far removed, but from generation before me, my parents definitely played a lot of him.
Nice, that's cool, man.
So he's also a precursor for the genre.
Yeah, you said about you being a metal fan, so just recently we've had Ozzy Osbourne that passed away. How do you feel about that?
As a guy from Birmingham, it sucked. I'm amazed that he did that last gig, and the money he raised for charity was just huge. Like, it was such a meta way to go out. It was nice to see him have the send off, and I think that's probably the biggest collective of like rockers in one place that I think we've seen in a generation, really. So just legend, especially for our local area. He's huge.
It's just amazing. I watched a little bit of a video about all the effort they had to go to for that final show, like training, lifting weights, and obviously dealing with his illness and all the kind of contraptions and doodads they had on the stage. And then you just think, wow, like what just the dedication and effort to kind of know that you're facing up to like the final times, and yet to do that and to raise money for charity. It's just amazing. There's so many people.
All around awesome guy.
Yeah, that's super cool, man. But you don't live in Birmingham. But what do you miss about Birmingham? What would you say? Because it's a big place, right? People might have heard of Birmingham, but it's like it was officially the UK's second city. I think that's still pretty much intact. So it's a big place. Yeah. So what would you say is good about Birmingham?
Curry sauce on chips. No, you're from this neck of the woods now. You're northwest. You put gravy on everything, you lot.
Yeah.
Like, my wife's from Wigan, and it's like, why is there gravy on chips? It needs to have curry sauces. There's that clear cultural divide between us.
Both are good. Both are good, to be fair.
Both are good. And like the football tribalism in the Midlands is pretty chill because they all suck. Whereas like in the Northwest, it's like you say the wrong thing and you're dead to half the populace nearby.
This is true.
But it's a lot friendlier up here, which is the good thing. Like the Midlands is great. It's not like down south, but like the Northwest is super cool and accommodating. So yeah, curry sauce on chips is what I miss. It's not the default, and that's just disgraceful. It's sort out.
Pie. You're in pie area, especially having a spouse.
Pie on bombs. Pie on bread is the cuisine up here, isn't it? It's like a pie isn't enough. We'll slap some bread either side of it and make a sandwich out of it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I had to explain to someone a couple of months ago about what pea wet is. Do you know what pea wet is?
No, I've not encountered a pea wet. What's a pea wet?
You'll have to ask your wife about what pea wet is. So pea wet is, you know what a scallop is? Chip shop. So a scallop is like kind of like chipped potato, like kind of grated potato that they deep fry, but they put that on a bomb, but they also put pea wet on it. So when they make parched peas, when they're making mushy peas, the kind of pea flavored water that kind of comes to the top of the peas is called pea wet. So you have this sandwich that's just it's bread with like this potato scallop which has no taste, and so you have this sandwich that kind of mildly tastes of peas. It's strange. So there you go. You can ask your wife about pea wet. Nice. If she doesn't know what it is, she's not from Wigan area. So
any of your international listeners who already believe the stereotype that English food sucks have just had it confirmed there with that.
That's definitely true. It's not even peas. It just mildly tastes.
It's a hint of pea water.
But anyway, let's get on to our chat. So I love talking to you about peas and the variety of peas and chip shop curry sauce for till the cows come home. But we're here to talk about the hobby. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do that's kind of above the regular just someone playing a hobby game right now. What do you do over the top of that?
So my name's Tom. I do content creation, for want of the better word, not particularly keen on the word, on YouTube and in the podcast space like you, Dan. So our YouTube channel is called Warriors Table Wargaming, formerly known as TNG Productions. And we also have a podcast based on the game Malifaux, which is called The Harlefaux Show. And that both are basically myself and my local community meta group of best buddies playing whatever takes our fancy and recording it, usually through battle reports. I've done painting tutorials in the past during COVID, the odd hobby video, what you should play. And we do a lot of work with companies based in the UK. We're very blessed that we have quite a lot of companies in the UK. And every once in a while, if we've been good boys, they'll give us a call and we'll introduce a new system or a game and do a little bit of coverage on it. More than your standard, I'm going to just unbox a box. We'll do like a how to play, or we'll do a tutorial, or we'll go down there and do some interviews. And it's very much a variety media that we do, which wasn't something that was intended. The channel definitely wasn't that to begin with, but it's just, it comes out as and when. And I think the thing we're probably best known for with the battle reports and stuff is that we kind of just post when we feel like it. The channel's existed for a long time, but it's only had about 250 odd videos, I think, last time I checked, because we just post as and when. And I think that means that the audience share that we've got and the community that's grown up around that are very much open to a wide variety of systems. We also kind of don't really tend to cover a lot of Games Workshop, especially not the big two. Not through any sensibility. We are magpies and we play about 25 different systems at our local club. So mass battle games get to the side unless they're Lord of the Rings, and we're very much skirmishy. And that's just grown and grown. And, you know, in 2025 now, it's a lovely side project that we have that kind of goes alongside. And we've got all manner of stupid things. Like it's morphed into this very much comical cavalcade of just idiots rolling dice. But it's, I think, within the sphere, we want to be the casual community. And I think that's something that probably is our greatest credit.
Nice.
Not bad sales pitch off the top of my head. That's, you can tell
You've been practicing that in the mirror, eh? So that's cool. So that's a really good snapshot. That's a really good kind of frame for us to use to kind of step towards. But let's go back, right the way back. When did you first start hobbying? How did you first start hobbying? Was it fairly recent history, or have you always done it?
Yeah, more recent for me. So I often tell the story that I think I've obviously had early encounters with wargaming. The one that stands out for me is getting a 3rd edition Warhammer 40k, you know, with the elves and the Space Marines, I want to say. That was like the starter set that had knocking around, but I think those miniatures were just slopped with paint from like a kid who didn't have the ability to prime, let alone paint them. And then the odd flirtation between uni, maybe. Like I remember, like I went to uni in North Wales and it was stunning. And when it was a sunny day, I'd go to the Games Workshop and buy like a Dreadnought and just paint that and just relax outside. And that was kind of that bit. And it really kind of exploded more when I came to the Northwest. So I moved up here for a job. I'm a teacher. Most people know that. And there was a big wargaming store in the town nearby, and wanting to make social connections and just having an interest, I kind of went in, picked up a few games. The one that hit the chord was Guild Ball, previously by Steamforge Games, currently by Steamforge Games. We don't really acknowledge the new era. And then that led to Walking Dead by Mantic.
Well, let's just pause that there. Yeah, let's just pause that there, because you kind of, it seems to be like you're aware of the whole hobby thing for quite a long time. Yeah. So how did you become aware of that, and why did it never take off, do you think?
Monetarily, I'd say. My background, single parent family, there wasn't really much income with my mom to be able to kind of get into it. It's never been a cheap hobby. And also just locality. I think where I was based at the time, there wasn't like a Games Workshop on my high street, if that makes sense. You had to go to the nearest kind of big shopping centre, which is like a 40-minute drive away. So I think when I got the starter box, that was like on a whim. And then it was largely picking up things like White Dwarfs. Yeah. That would be like my treat magazine in between things like Pokemon card packs and match attacks and everything else kids are collecting at that time.
Yeah. I
think I've always had quite, as everyone in this hobby space has had, quite an affinity for the lore of Games Workshop systems in particular.
Yeah.
And also just lack of opportunity. Like I remember, so when I was playing in my uni years, wanting to play in my uni years, I barely played. I played with a guy who I worked with at a restaurant, like on the kitchen tables. I wanted to play the Raven Guard of the Space Marines. And this was during an era where, like, if you wanted chapter-specific shoulder pads, you had to get them from Forge World. And guess which chapter didn't have them in Forge World? And, like, I remember ringing them up, and the guy just laughed at me down the phone. He was like, Raven Guard? You're not going to get those anytime soon. And then nowadays, it's like they're like one of the most spammed chapters, I think, you see from GW. Yeah. They get new sculpts for their chapter master every 5 minutes. So it's probably a lack of income, lack of opportunity, and just... I've always been so into video games, and obviously when the PlayStation 1 hit, that's where your free time went, either kicking a ball around outside or Tekken for me, basically.
Nice. Because you mentioned there, like, you know, playing video games and doing sports and stuff. Were you reading? Were you a big reader as a kid, movie watcher? That you're a big sci-fi guy more than fantasy? Would you say?
No, I think I drift between it. I think from video game point of view, I like my RPGs, whether that's JRPG or Western or anything like that. So I think any kind of immersive world takes my interest. Have an interest in film, have an interest in all that kind of stuff. Like obviously the big one for our generation going through was like the Lord of the Rings and the prequels for Star Wars. So I think we weren't exactly hard done by, and like, you know, Harry Potter going through, even that kind of missed me a little bit. So I think we've always had access to these kind of immersive worlds. So I think it doesn't really matter the flavor for me. I think looking at the systems I play now, and I've got anything from super sci-fi and Infinity all the way back to Lord of the Rings, and then you've got steampunk in Malifaux. So I think as long as it's got a good hook and a good bit of lore, then I'm in, regardless of what the medium is.
Yeah, you mentioned RPGs there, so just whatever medium doesn't matter. Give us a few shouts about your favorite RPGs and what it is you like about them.
The Final Fantasy series for me, that is my passion. shall we say. That's the thing I collect even more than war dollies. Or got all of them, played all of them religiously. I think my Steam Deck is just full as a Final Fantasy machine at this stage. The early wave of kind of like Skies of Arcadia. I remember when the Elder Scrolls Oblivion came out, I was yearning for this kind of open world game.
Yeah.
And that just blew my mind. And then even things like in film and media, you can go anything from Alita Battle Angel to the Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, Studio Ghibli stuff. And I think there's lots. I kind of like that marriage of perhaps slightly more rustic fantasy settings that has an underlying futurism, and you can even see that in sci-fi, like the Mass Effect series. That those who came before. Spoilers for Mass Effect; it's about 20 years old about this stage. But like that kind of like old heritage is cool in wargaming because you see precursor races and groups that kind of get pulled into this. Like in Malifaux, you have the Neverborn. In Warcrow, which has just came out by Corvus Belli, you have the Scions who are like tapping into the old precursors. I kind of have those kind of areas, those kind of groups, and I think for me, Final Fantasy kind of spiked massively with 7, 8, and 9. That kind of golden generation of the PS1 going into 10. So yeah, that has it all. Most recently, to put a mark on it, there's been Expedition 33 that's came out as a video game that's taken all of us on channel and Discord by storm. Because again, it's just deep lore, deep stories. Obviously, you had Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff before that. So those kind of things, deep, engrossing stories, always kind of take my fancy. Give you a video game podcast instead here. We'll just go into a history of RPGs.
Have you been surprised / am I not aware of a Final Fantasy tabletop game?
There's one. Oh, what's it called? There's one that's basically a Final Fantasy like, where it's like Lion's Tower or something like that, which I think got kickstarted recently. I think it's interesting when you see IPs come to the tabletop, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. I think not everything lends itself to tabletop. I think Final Fantasy would be weird because it'd have to be like one of those, maybe like Battle of Card games, like the Tekken board game that's just came out and stuff, like where you take turns. I remember distinctly, like, some things seem to fit better, like The Witcher, for example. We know like Monster Fight Club are pushing that, but I remember at must have been a Steam Con for Guild Ball or something, there was a Solomon Kane board game that was being demoed. And it was good, but I remember just sitting there all the way through being like, if this was Geralt of Rivia, this would just sell like hotcakes. And I think speaking of the same company, some things don't work when you think they should. Dark Souls didn't work as a board game, but Lord of the Rings, phenomenal as a tabletop game. So I think I'm not surprised. I think it probably will happen with licensing at some points, but I think sometimes it's like, does it need to be a game? It's like when you see card games of things that you can just play. Like, I feel like I'm ragging on Steamforge, which is my default, but they released a Pac-Man card game, and it was like, who the hell wants to play a Pac-Man card game when you could just play Pac-Man on like your browser? Like, you need to have a certain thing that gives it the, I want minis for that, I want to play that. Like, obviously Lord of the Rings, it's like, I want the heroic moments myself on the board. Not everything I think is suited for tabletop, and I think Final Fantasy probably hits that, because what is a turn-based battler on the table going to do that's any different to?
There's a system that I use for my job, which kind of I use to think about whether I should use it or not. It's called PICRAT, PICRAT, and it's about, is the new thing that you are going to use, does it transform, does it amplify, does it replace? Is it passive? Is it interactive? Is it creative? And so, like you're talking about there, you got maybe a video game franchise or a movie, and you think it does. If this thing exists and we do it, is it going to transform anything? Is it going to be crazy creative to have this thing? Is it going to transform anything? And some games, sometimes it's very passive and it just replaces something. So like Pac-Man, the card game, it doesn't really do anything much. So finding those games that really add value or really transform something into a different direction. I'm always on the fence with a few games, and one of them is the Metal Gear Solid board game that came out fairly recently. And it's like the Metal Gear Solid, not the first one, but the first one that a lot of people think of in the PS1 era. And it's like, I love that game, and I still love that game.
I want to play that on a board.
It's like, I'm not sure if it would add any value. I'm not sure if it would transform the experience or whether it'd just be not as good because, I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it?
You see the inverse happen as well. Like the example I can give is Mantic's Dead Zone. They basically reskin that with Halo, and obviously it sells like hotcakes. It's got every kind of casual content creator bought a box and reviewed it. Didn't really play it, but like Dead Zone was a fantastic game. But reskinning it with Halo, it now keeps the lights on with Mantic. The Walking Dead game, I say to this day, is the best intro game anyone can play into wargaming. And it's like, because it's intuitive. But it took Mark Latham, who I know you've interviewed, to be able to put things in place to make it more tabletop-y. And he's very much got his own style of design with event cards and threat trackers and, heightening tension. He did it with the Harry Potter game, which I thought was very good. It's just a shame it was by Knight, who struggle for both understandable and not reasons to kind of keep their production going. So sometimes these things cross over really well. Like I said, the Halo game's great, but it's because it's built on a very good engine with Dead Zone. The Hellboy game was great, but it was built on a good engine with Dungeon Saga. So
I think
there are times where it works.
It's quite a crude thing to say, but sometimes if you're working with somebody who appears to be quite good but isn't great, they say that they're all fur coat and no knickers, right? Does that make sense? You heard that term? And an IP kind of can flutter its eyelids at you, but there's got to be that substance in behind. Yeah, that's cool, man. Anyway, let's move back onto you. So you kind of mentioned that you're aware of the hobby for quite a long time. You mentioned that you kind of dabbled in with it. Picked up a starter set here, a Dreadnought there, but then it was only really when you were kind of stable in your own career that you eventually began to play. So you mentioned that you were looking for social connections. Is that right? So why did you choose tabletop games, and how did you reach out and start connecting with people?
So like I said, there's this store in town near to where I live, and it had a massive high street wargaming store, not a Games Workshop, like a big independent store. Which is kind of very unique within the industry, I think, nowadays. You don't tend to see that kind of stuff, or they are big kind of gaming centers. And just a case of walking past the window one day and being like, ooh, this is cool, this is shiny. Being slightly nerdy inclined, there were plenty of things in the window to take my interest. And then, like I said, I walked in and had a demo game with Paul, who started the channel with me, of Guild Ball. We got on like house on fire. So it's like, do you want to buy a team? Yeah, I'll buy a team. Easy sale for him at the time. And then we came back, and I think we played a game of Batman miniatures game as well. And then there were other people in store, and like that was Guild Ball season 2, I want to say, just the start of season 2, and that's when that went red hot. That was like peak Guild Ball explosion of popularity. So there were loads of other people in the store that were either coming in for the first time, or were D&D players, or were what I am now, serial hobbyists who just pick up any new shiny. And we got a league going, and then that easily spread to like, well, I play this game, do you want to try that, Tom? And I was like, hell yes, I want to try that. And it just kind of, it was just another avenue to the things that I was doing. Like I was playing sports with friends, I was doing going out socially with people. Like, you spread your net as you can, because when I moved, I kind of just about 3 hours away from my home. So I know for American listeners that's nothing, but in the UK they might as well be dead to you at that stage. So like it was like a reset, and that then led to making a little bit of hobby content. The channel came very early into my hobbying. The channel came within a month or two. Like the channel already existed. Yeah, the channel already existed. So it's going to sound really lame, but you'll understand this. As a teacher, I basically finished my last job at Christmas and I started the next one in April. So there's a 4-month gap, and I was like, I'm going to kind of need to keep my voice. Now, you wouldn't be able to tell it at the moment because I'm baby tired, but like there is an element of keeping your ability to speak and articulate. So I was like, you know what? I will stream and I will play video games and I will do Twitch. Like I'm not trying to make anything out of it. I will just use the opportunity to speak into the void to keep my voice going.
Yeah.
And like I said, with the wargaming stuff, I was like, all right, sack all this off. I'll try and make some content for Guild Ball. And I started making some like team overviews. It's very similar to what we do for Malifaux now, with like the master overviews. So the channel was like almost on the ground floor of me picking up the hobby. I think I was like about halfway through the league, so call it a month or two into playing Guild Ball, when I was like, I'll make some content for this. And then that led to social links, because then you get involved in wider communities, the Facebook groups, the company for Guild Ball Steamforged there in the Northwest as well. So I had to go visit them, made friends there. They had their own gaming center, did stuff with them. So it kind of very quickly exploded out. We started doing events, attending, and also hosting for other game systems. So you meet communities. So like our cast on Warriors Table is quite big. There's about 10 of us who I'd consider presenters or, regular faces. So Ian and Ben, who have been on plenty, they're kind of our Star Wars, Legion, Walking Dead, Lord of the Rings experts. But I met them by hosting an event for that. And, became very close. They've got another Ian Torrance in Scotland. He's our like Guild Ball pro. Carnivale as well. He and I met just simply by going to the same event, and he was like, "Oh, I've seen your stuff on YouTube. I like it." And I was like, "That's awesome!" And like we got talking, and he's one of my best friends now. Wonderful human being. So like the channel was very much closely knit to me getting into that hobby, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. So you straight in. It's not often you hear of those two things kind of happening pretty much at the same time. Quite often people will play games, they'll enjoy games, and then after a period of time, then content comes in. But you said that started really early. So what do you get out of content? What do you enjoy about content? Because it doesn't seem like the content that drives you. It seems to be that the connections and the sharing and the giving people platforms is what you really like. Would I be correct?
One would hope so.
Yeah.
I think it's. I'm quite cynical and critical, and like talking to another content creator about this is quite awkward, but like I'm quite cynical about what hobby content creating looks like. I think I'm not going to ask you to explain my channel to me, but obviously you getting in touch, the kind of stuff we do. And a lot of it is driven by wanting to make something relevant and of good quality. And the story I always tell is that basically the thing that actually spurred me to do Guild Ball stuff was me trying to watch a Batman battle report. So the Batman Miniatures game at the time was in its first edition. And I was trying to watch a battle report, and it was terrible. It was really bad, and it was hard to follow. And that's not a knock on the people. It's a knock on the fact that the standard was poor, and that we now are not like Hollywood level standard. I would say that the standard of our battle reports now are on the upper end of people who do this as a part-time hobby when they feel like it, which is the lowest level of shelf you can be. But it frustrated me. I was like, they were trying to explain these mechanics for this character, and I was really like, I just don't know this. And I was just like, why do they not just put the bloody cards on the screen?
Yeah.
And then I was like, do you know what I'll do? I'll make a battle report, I'll put some cards on the screen. Surprisingly, went from there. So like the drive for it has always been trying to make something that isn't there yet. And I could get an absolute soapbox discussion going here about how I think most hobby content isn't that, and is very much for the wrong reasons. And I appreciate hobby content, I just don't really watch much of it. I kind of, like I said, I'm more into video games than that. And I think the hobby content creators I've came across kind of fall into two categories. They're either people who are like, I love this, I just want to contribute, and then there's probably a slightly more, I want to make money out of this, or I want to be famous in my little realm, or I want to do this because and it never was that for us. It was more the channel was made out of spite and annoyance on my part, and I was never trained with video editing, and we started with like a handy cam and a stack of books. Didn't even have a tripod, just like balanced it on some books, and like things came from there. It's grown very naturally from there, and since then the platform is basically to try and just promote what we are now in 2025, which is like just a casual community. I think like casual and competitive have weird connotations within our hobby. I also think there's a lot of distortion between camps and tribalism with that kind of stuff, in the same way like football teams are like in the UK. I think like if you're like, I'm a competitive player, it means I can't be casual, or vice versa. And it's like, I don't like going to events personally because I get very stressed, and that's more a mental thing for myself. Like the environment of playing under pressure is very tricky.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'd always do badly. Like I can string together a couple of wins if I'm lucky. It doesn't mean that I'm suddenly a competitive player, or I suddenly hate competitive play. Just like for me, it doesn't work. But I feel like you say that sometimes, and it's like, well, you're not on our team. So the idea is to kind of present beginner-friendly content. If we can do a how to play, that's even better. How to play is better than a battle report because it's like on the ground up. But we're very open at the start, and we're like, we play 20-odd systems on regular rotation. I do not know every rule for every game. I just want someone like you've got with the podcast here to chuck it on when they're painting and have fun. The biggest compliments I get on the channel, like, oh, I put this on my TV while I was like looking after my kids. I had it on the background, and they were watching with me, and I'm like, that is amazing. That is like above and beyond what I could hope for when I'm sat editing. And I think, you edit to the best you can, you record to the best you can, but like, I'm not we don't have the funding all the time of a full studio. You know, the people who do it for their living. But at the same time, I want to do slightly more effort than, if I'm going to put something out, I want it to be more effort than just a side cam and scruffy mics. You know, I want to be able to put a bit of time in, and that's a privilege we've been able to do for the years that we've made content. We've been able to build things up slowly. Like, I literally record in a spare room, but, you know, we do the best we can with the stuff that we've got. And I think nowadays we just want to try and make sure that we are, as I say, true to ourselves. That sounds really lame, but like, I'm not going to make something if it's not something I'm interested in. So we quite often get asked like, oh, you did a video for this, are you going to do any more? And it's like, maybe, but we're just not playing it at the moment.
Yeah.
Or are you going to do some more painting tutorials? Yeah, sure, but that's kind of something I did during COVID. And, you know, I'm not kind of doing that at the moment. Or even with the podcast, like, the podcast was crazy. We just did that because we felt that Malifaux lacked a casual podcast. It's very competitive in the Malifaux content creation scene. It's all tier lists and crap. And basically we were like, oh, we'll just talk about our club games. And we got about 10 episodes in, and it's just became like memes and in-jokes now. And it's like, it's of no use to any human being. Like, it's the worst content we could produce. But for us, it's great. And for the communities that are in with it, it's like, it's nice to see people interact with that. We had a very clear tipping off point with one of the episodes where we just went silly, and we never really got it back from there. So
I think as long as you're enjoying it, that's the main thing, I think.
And then that's it. Like, if it's not fun to make, then we don't. Like, the channel slowed down last year because my wife and I suffered a miscarriage. So like, we just didn't want to make content for a bit. And my mates were the ones on the channel who surrounded me with like love, support, and my wife, like, you know, with that. And the stuff we made was just like, well, screw it, what do we want to make? And I think I had milestones in my head for the channel. I think this can probably get about 10,000 subscribers, you know, just willy-nilly putting stuff out. And when it did, we were like, all right, well, we'll just do what we feel like now, because we feel like we hit that milestone. Or like, we did a video where we celebrated having 1 million views, and we were like, that's an amazing milestone. Never thought I'd get 1,000, let alone 1 million. But it's like, I'm not going to chase the next million.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, and you know, it's like, well, okay, well, that's cool. That means we've got X amount of people who will watch stuff because we think it's important and they're of the same mind. So let's just keep doing that. So, you know, you get the odd offer of, do you want to cover this or do you want to do that? And more often than not, we say no, because we're like, well, we're playing this. Or completely opposite. I might find a product that I really like and just be like, do you know what? I'm just going to promote this as much as I can. And I don't know about you with the podcast, but we don't have affiliate links. The sponsorships that run at the start of our channel, they're not paid. Like, we are loosely sponsored by Deep Cut and Rampage and previously Art of War. It's never like money into the account. It's just like, these things are really good and we're going to use them anyway. Can we just put you at the start of the video?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. With Boroughs and Badgers, like, we picked that up near the end of the last edition, and the second editions came out, and we were immediately like, we're making videos for this because there aren't any. And we were like, we're making content for this because this game deserves, like, it needs to be in the space. Whether we do it justice, I don't know, because it's phenomenal. But it's like, if we're going to use our platform for something, it's because we want sales to be driven towards these people. And it's the same with Moonstone. Like, we got on very well with the Goblin King Games who make Moonstone. They're good mates. And they'll turn around to us sometimes, be like, we've got some new products coming out. Do you want us to send them? And we're like, we haven't done anything yet with the last lot. I'm still painting up the Shades faction, which was most. So I'm like, don't send us anything yet, because we're not going to do an unboxing, or I'm not just going to read off a Games Workshop community article, because, like you said, it adds nothing. And, you know, the money, you talk about content creation, I can tell you now with the subscriber count we have, there's no income. Like, you're not doing it to make any cash. So it's realistically like, do I have time for this? Do I have value in this? And do I think it's something people care about like me? And it's like, if the answer is no, or even if it's just, this is amazing, but I can't do it yet.
Yeah.
Then it's nice to say no. And I think I kind of have got a little bit disillusioned over the years that I don't think that's universal. Like, it's nice to talk to you and you say the same, but I think without throwing stones,
yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult, isn't it? Because you don't want to seem like you're poo-pooing anybody else or trying to kind of blow different your different candles out, if that kind of makes sense. But yeah, it's the same. I just think more people should say no more often, because there's too much stuff. And if someone offers up some stuff, we want to make sure that we do that justice. We give it the right amount of time. We give it the right amount of depth. So if we get any things through, or we choose to choose something, it's always, we don't just want to do an unboxing and move on. We want to unbox it, and then we want to show you us painting it. And then we want to do a minimum of 2 or 3 back reps with the stuff, so you can see the whole hobby package instead of just like, here's a new thing, see you later. Here's another new thing. That's just not how I think we should be as human beings. And I think it does a disservice to the people that have worked so hard on those products just to be like a kind of throwaway kind of mentality with it, you know?
And that's the thing, I'm not trying to like virtue signal. There's times I've got it wrong. Like, I'll use an example. I've been quite in contact a lot with Modifius recently, who made like Elder Scrolls and Fallout. They sent us like the Fallout box. I was really interested. I bought the what's it called, the adventure game box I bought, but they sent us the factions one, which is like you know, the kind of more streamlined. And I hadn't got round to doing anything with it at that stage, and I felt really, really bad. So Soph, who's their community manager, she was like, okay, we've also got this Cohor's Cthulhu war game to go with their kind of like D&D-ish role play game. And I was like, give me a couple of miniatures for that, and I will bust my ass and make sure I do something for that in the meantime. So like, I made like a how to play, I painted them at the best I possibly could. I really was like, right, this is almost like an apology video. Like, I was like, I will get round to Fallout Factions. It will happen on the channel. And it's just as well they're doing a second edition of the main game now, because it's kind of all going to get bundled together. So it's kind of worked out. But it's like, you don't always get it right, but I'd much rather that than me just be like, right, I'm going to put an ablative. And, you know, companies are fine with that. They're not idiots. They're more than happy. Like, if you do it, but it's like, you know, like, they'll say, do you want an affiliate link? And it's like, well no, because if I don't like this at some point, I want to be able to turn around and criticize it if I can. Or, like, even if I'm not, I don't want to yuck someone's yum, but I want to be able to be honest with it. And it's like, well, if they see an affiliate link underneath that, when I'm like, yeah, this isn't the best quality resin, or this isn't the best quality release, or this doesn't vibe for me, it kind of seems disingenuous.
Yeah. And just before we move on, it's everyone makes their own way with it. Everyone's got their own plan. Everyone's got their own style. Everyone's got their own destinations. And I'm sure we're on the same page with this. But yeah, do whatever you want when it comes to content. But I really appreciate your candid kind of vision and idea and experience. No, it's good, man. But I think we need to
more content's always good, though. Like, more content is always good. If someone wants to put something out, but I'm just very much like, put something out that's different and put something out that's genuine. I think like there's a weird distortion within this is the last thing I'll say, I will shut up because I've said this soapbox so many times. Within hobbying, especially if you look at YouTube, like you see like 5,000-10,000 subscribers and people get into their head that that's like a big number. But like if you watch like video game, there's people who I watch who are like video game essays, and they've got 100,000 subscribers and they are like, no one knows them. Yeah, they're like the tiniest blot. Whereas 100,000 subscribers or followers or listeners on a podcast in our realm would be like, you are the biggest players in the world. Yeah, you know, level that's like Squidmar or Mini War. I have no idea what their numbers are, but you know what I mean, like that level of big. Yeah. And you know, do you look at that though? Is that something that motivates you? Because I'll be honest, no,
I don't look at metrics at all. I couldn't tell you, because that's not something. I don't do it for that, if that makes sense.
No, I used to like seeing the numbers go up, and there's been some very good discussions in the past by people more knowledgeable than I am about the psychology of that. I don't know if you're aware of Super Eye Patch Wolf on YouTube, who's kind of like a YouTuber who does big variety content, but he did a video a long time ago on like content creation courses and why they're all a fad, like, you know, like Logan Paul offering people like courses on how to make it. But the second half of the video, he did something really clever where he interviewed people of different subscriber counts, so from like 100 up to like 1 million, and all of them said the same, which is when you go on that YouTube splash page and you see that number going up and the arrow goes up or the arrow goes down, it does affect your day. Yeah. And he was talking about how you get past that, and I could say I'm very much past that now. Like if we're not putting a video out for a month, I'm not expecting to look at that page and even care about the results. But I do think it can, especially working within education like you and I do, I think it could affect the next generation coming through quite a lot in terms of, well, I need to put a video out this week, or I need to make, or I might as well do this review because it'll keep the company on side, or I might as well do that. And it's like, that's very much short-term gain for long-term degradation of quality.
They call it. Is it called the grindification? Where I watched a video a while ago that was talking about how just hobbies aren't fun or aren't as much fun anymore because we're always turning it into a grind. If you think about a video game with like side quests and collect all these, and going back to Oblivion you mentioned before, and this is a thing I mentioned quite a few times, finding fucking Nirnroot. It's like, do I really need to spend all these hours going around listening for Nirnroot and picking them all up just so I can make a certain potion?
What I'm actually going to get at the end of it.
Yeah, exactly right. So I don't know. Like, it's just an interesting mindset, man. It's cool. But anyway, let's switch back to you if we can. So you mentioned a while ago that creating content and playing kind of went very much hand in hand earlier. But you talked about escalating real quick. You mentioned about doing some content, having a podcast, organizing events. So like, why are you saying yes to all this stuff? And did you ever get to a point where it's like, dude, what am I doing? I need to start saying actually no to this stuff. Or are we just totally happy just to be like, let's just do whatever makes sense and feels good?
So the community we've got is amazing. So a lot of it is community driven. I think in the early days when I was making content, it was just me and one other person. So like scheduling that, who was a very close mate, and scheduling that and dealing with that kind of was, or could feel like a grind or work at times. I think when COVID hit, and we kind of ended up going separate because just life went different directions after COVID, the community that I met within my local area, who are now like what makes the Malifaux podcast, that was all driven by just all of us, like the channel and the podcast and everything else that we do, the Discord and everything. They're all avenues of that shared community. And yes, it's phenomenal that we've got people interacting from around the world, but like, so no, if it's like, oh, we've got an event in 2 weeks, I'm not the one organizing it. It's got Warriors Table slapped on it, but like Dave, who's part of the channel, he's doing that. Or like, if we've got the podcast, that was more just a couple of us being like, well, do you know what? We'll throw something out into the ether because it doesn't exist. And if it gets a resonant from people, we'll carry it on. And, it has. So we continue to do it. I mean, it's on hiatus at the moment because Malifaux's undergoing an edition change. There's no point doing anything at the moment. Like some people are talking about it, but you make a podcast, it's out of date within a week because everything's being play tested. But it's just like, okay, well, we've all turned around and we said like in a month or so we'll do it again, and if we get bored or it doesn't resonate or it doesn't fit into the community anymore, then we'll sack it off. And I think we thoroughly enjoy every aspect of this hobby. I'm not the greatest fan of painting, but I can get things painted, but everything else is great. But it's the content creation part, I think, is for me just something that I quite enjoy doing because I just record with my mates. Like, I'm never going to enjoy editing, but I've kind of done it for enough years now that I can do it relatively quick. But like the podcast, for example, Chris, who's on the channel, he edits the podcast. So then that was completely him. I was like, I can edit it. And he was like, no, I'll do it. So, and the ones who don't do the content creation or don't do the events, they're the ones bringing the ideas or the fun or the silliness or whatever to it that allows it to have a feel less of like we're going to film something for YouTube more than we're going to just play a club game in front of a camera. And that's, I can say hand on heart, that's what our club games are like on a Tuesday night when we play in Preston. Like, it is just the same, just without a camera in front of it. So it's been very natural, and it's never really felt like a burnout in any way. And I think it's kept afloat just by the sheer amount of systems that we play. I think when you play a lot of systems, you don't have time to really worry about, I'm going to make content for this, I'm going to do this. It's more just like, oh, I'm playing this at the moment. Do you want to film a game? Yeah, I'll film a game. We'll do it. And
that's really cool, man. That's really cool, man. This kind of open-minded growth mindset, the tide that raises all boats kind of mentality is amazing. It's kind of crazy refreshing. And sometimes with people that play games or people that create content, they kind of see other people's rivals or they're very protective over things that you do. But you kind of are the exact opposite to that. And do you find that people are magnetized to your mentality because that's what they feel too? Or do you sometimes run into a little bit of friction with people saying, no, that's mine? Or, do they get possessive over the games or the stuff or the content?
I think we all do. I think even I can exhibit it at times. Like, I get frustrated again, so because I don't want to fire straight at someone else, I'll fire it at myself. I get frustrated sometimes when someone goes, I'm going to make battle reports the same way that you do. And that annoys me a little bit. Like, we don't have a monopoly on it. All the ideas I've came from have either like been things I've seen or wanted to do or things that needed it. But when someone comes out and does something like for like the same, I'm kind of like, mate, you're not adding anything there. And it's kind of more egregious when they send you a message in advance. So like over the 5 or 6 years of doing this, I could count on more than my fingers and toes the amount of people who've gone, yeah, can we just share resources because I'm going to make battle reports like you? Or yeah, I'm just going to do, and it's like flattering for 2 seconds. And it's like, yeah, but like, we don't need that. And again, who am I to say you can't do it? Like just some jerk on the internet. But like, it's definitely something that I think I've came up against. I've definitely fallen out with content creators in the past because I'm just bloody too gobby, and like I'll just turn around like I don't like tier lists. It's a meme within Discord. All right, I don't like it. I don't like it within video games. Like I'm a massive Tekken player. I love fighting video games. There's a tier list every 2 seconds in that community, and they just suck. Like they just. But you
understand why it happens. It's like that's really successful. So let's do more of it. Or
but then you get the same bleeding heart idiots do a podcast like this with you, and they go, "Oh, I would love to make the content that I want, but I just need to make a tier list this week to keep the lights on." It's like you don't, do you? Like you don't need to do that. Like that is complete rubbish. And then so I think it's one of those where like you definitely do butt heads. I think I would never turn around and say, people are magnetized to the way that I see things. I think the community that we've got are pulled in and contribute just as much as I do to anything. I'm just the person holding the camera 9 times out of 10. But like the different avenues and aspects and things, like I'll give you a stupid example. So we've got a passing interest, Courtney and myself, on the channel in wrestling. And I say passing like we've watched it since we were kids and we're kind of infatuated with it. Mm-hmm. So we were like, do you know what we'll do? We'll get a wrestling belt made for the channel. And like we pitched it to the other guys. They were like, what? And we were like, yeah, we'll get a wrestling belt for the channel. And they were like, why do you need a wrestling belt for the channel? I was like, but wait, because then whoever's the champion can get challenged by people on any game. And they were like, actually, that sounds really fun. So now I currently am proud enough to be WTW champion. Praise my name. But like, I'm literally like looking over my shoulder because I'm on paternity leave at the moment, and the guys are like, so when you come back, because the rules of the belt are you have to challenge the champion at something they play. And I'm an idiot because I play a lot of stuff badly. So like people are like, so we're going to play some MCP when you come back. And it's like, you want the belt, don't you? And they're like, yeah, I want the belt. And you suck at MCP. And I was like, oh. And then Courtney's like, yeah, we can play some Moonstone when you come back. And I was like, is it for the belt? And he was like, yeah. And it's like, so like the knives are out. And it's just like that level of dumb is where we're at now, but it's so much fun. And I think it's gone down well with the community and the Discord and that, because there is this on-running joke then now of like, are you just recording this because you want to record this, or are you recording this because you want to take the belt off someone? It's like, I want to take the belt off them. Nice. I want the prestige. I want that on my shoulder, because we go into club on a Tuesday night, and I'm not ashamed to show. I will walk in with that belt. Like I will rub it in their faces. There's no camera there, but like I am the champion.
Yeah.
And that's life. That's great.
It's really cool. We had something similar in Louisiana where I used to live, and it was a very competitive Warhammer 40,000 scene, which was good and bad for the same reason. But you couldn't offer a challenge unless you did a call-out video. So if you got passing interest in WWF, you have to do a call-out video. If you don't go, you've got to do that. So we had different personas from the different wrestlers that we used to like. So you try and take on the Ric Flair or the Undertaker kind of characteristics, and then you'd send a call out video on the group chat, and then the person would have to then accept the challenge, and they do their own video responding to that. That was really cool. And the store that we kind of were around, they were really great, and they actually figured out what we were doing and started making promo posters, which is really, really cool, man. So,
and that's the part of the hobby that's amazing, when it just like catches fire and it becomes this community invested thing. Is so much fun.
It's just everyone adding a little 10% here and there that kind of makes it richer. And it doesn't even need to be about wargaming. It's just about a community of really positive people that take it a little bit further. Everyone just takes the idea a little bit further and takes it a little bit further. And before you know it, 2 years have gone and you just had a lot of great experiences. Man, that's really cool. And so you kind of answered the question that I was going to lead to there about kind of what about the hobby do you really enjoy? And does content play second fiddle to the play-in? Does play-in take second fiddle to that? Or is it all kind of coexistent and all of the same value to you?
I think officially, if I asked my wife, she'd probably say that I'm balancing content and playing. I think in my heart of hearts, I would love to be able to say that, like, if the channel died tomorrow, I'd just carry on playing. I wouldn't care. But like, they are kind of intrinsically linked. And the podcast is amazing. The podcast is just me hanging around my best mates now, which is phenomenal. Even the guests that we have on are just like extended great mates. I think I do enjoy picking up new systems. I think there are certain systems and mechanics that I lean more towards. So if I lean towards Mark Latham, for example, his style of game design appeals a lot to me. I like having event cards that throw the basic math out. I like having a timer that ticks down, or like, you know, a crescendo point that can get steadily worse. So playing those kind of games is always enthralling to me. I think when a game is very, very well balanced, it can sometimes be a little bit tricky, and then I look for the silly bits. But I kind of bounce all over the place. Like with some games I get really into the lore, with some games I don't. So like it throws a lot of people off because we make a lot of Malifaux content, but I do not know anything about Malifaux lore. Like, it's brilliant, the bits that I've read, but I just couldn't get into it. So for whatever stage of life I was at the time, I wasn't into a reading PDF part of my life. So, but like, if you ask me about the Guild Ball lore, that's the main way that I got into that. I've never watched the Walking Dead TV series, but it's my favorite tabletop game, in terms of like playing. So like, it does bounce around, and I think the content creation sits alongside the hobby. So like, if you imagine like spinning plates, there's only one you can do at a time. So I'm either editing a video, recording a video, planning one, but that is its own plate compared to playing a game or painting some miniatures or prepping for an event or something. And then on top of that, then there's like playing video games. Like, that's my free time, you know, take work out of it, take being a dad, take being a husband, all that out of it. So, you know, I go through flurries. At the moment, I'm on a massive flurry of painting for the last 2 days, just because the baby's sleeping a little bit better for the last 2 days. And I was like, I've got an event in 2 weeks, I might as well paint some more models. But like, the first couple of weeks of my second son being born was him on my lap, me with my Steam Deck going, I'm going to replay Final Fantasy 9. And I just did. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to play Final Fantasy 6. And I did. And then I'm on to Spiritfarer now. But like, because that backlog had been sat there for a while. Now, if I happen to record a load of videos, suddenly it'll be like, I sit down at my computer and I'll be like, do you know what? I'll do some editing. So they kind of, the only consistent is going to club each week. I'm not at the moment, because obviously I'm not going to leave my wife when she's just had a newborn. But like, you know, we both have our things that we do weekly, and that's my consistent. So playing will always be more consistent than recording. But it is very much like, I'll sit down at my desk and like 3 different icons pop up. It's like, do you want to do hobbying? Do you want to do some channel stuff or podcast stuff? Or do you want to just play some games? And I think I kind of very much have a bit of, I don't say ADHD because that's wrong, but I very much have like I dive deep into something and then it falls off for a bit. So like, before the models sat in front of me, I've probably not painted anything in about 3 months. But I've had just a real flurry over the last 2 weeks. And then video game wise, I probably hadn't played that much since Expedition 33. And then I was like, right, I'm just going to purely play my Steam Deck for a bit. So that means I've done non-recording, because obviously I'm not going to at the moment. So they all kind of go hand in hand. I'd like to think that I could do all of them consistently, or drop the channel and continue to play games. But I think the nice thing is I'm doing them all with my mates, so as long as that continues to be a thing. And my wife also plays games off channel, you know, like when I'm doing how to play, she's the test dummy, because she's really good with this kind of stuff. And the way that we kind of break down how to play is based on like how me and her, because she's a teacher as well, work out the best way to kind of teach how to do this. Like, are we going to do all the rules? We're going to do a turn with half the rules. What are we going to introduce first? All that kind of stuff. So it's a big part of my life, but also one that shifts and rotates.
It's good that you're able to have that. People talk about our hobby being seasonal, or they talk about our leisure time being seasonal, and I think it's great. I think sometimes people break down and they get jaded or maybe burnt out because they believe in that they have to do things all of the time, consistently and habitually, and even though they don't want to. But you're just saying, that feels good right now, I want to do that, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to move on to that, and I'm not going to have any negative feeling about not. You know, some people say about content, they might, I just feel like if I don't do one a week, it just might let people down. Like, people are expecting that to drop on a Friday, when really people understand that you've got a life, and they're not that pissed off if you don't drop something consistently, you know? It's cool.
I think it's important to be open about that at the start. I think like YouTube did not have the tools 5 years ago that it does now. You couldn't pin a comment at the top going like, we are casual players, just roll with it. So like, if someone came on who was competitive player and they're like, you did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, now they just won't, because they'll see that, like, unless they're a real unique human being. Like, but like back then, like they didn't, so you had to say it on camera. You had to be like, look, I played this 3 times. I just enjoy it. I'm making a video. This is not comprehensive. So it became a habit. But I think, like you said, when you get your viewership or listenership, if it's the podcast, coming in, they then know what to expect. As long as you signpost it every once in a while for outsiders coming in.
Yeah.
Unless you're really focused on growth. If you're someone who's focused on growth and you want to make it big and you want to be going to all the shows, just record 40K. You know,
Yeah.
it's content creation is not hard within our hobby area. Just focus on one thing that is big and popular and do it to death, and you will rack it up quickly. But if that's not the way you hobby, then that's not going to work. And even if you do that, you are going to burn out. If I just made videos on Tekken because I love it, I'd get sick of it. I wouldn't enjoy playing the game as much because, like you said, that drive to make a video at the end of the day or the end of the week would kick in, and it would be like, it feels like work. And the last thing you want this to feel like is work. And it can sometimes, you know, when you've got a deadline, but the idea is to make the deadlines fit around you.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I'd always believe that there's two things that you can neither fake nor buy, and that's care and enthusiasm. And I'm not just talking about our hobby, I'm talking about anything, is that I really enjoy talking to people, because people that care about something and people that are enthusiastic about something, I want to speak to them. Even not even talking about the hobby, it might just be a bus driver. If there's a bus driver that really cares about his job and he's really enthusiastic about it, I just want to listen to him because I just find that interesting. And it's the same with, you know, movies. It's the same with books. Whatever it is, I believe that you can see care and enthusiasm, and you can't buy it. And if I see that in whatever content or whatever I'm doing, I'm kind of drawn to that naturally. It's pretty interesting. But anyway, as we kind of cut towards our last little bit of time, I'll ask a very open question for you. How many games is too many games?
Looks around the room behind him and despairs. I would say I'm definitely at the limit of too many games where I'm at the moment. I think games are shrinking and collections are shrinking when others are growing. I think it's as many games as you can simply find enjoyment in. I think if at any point it feels like a stress, then that's a problem. So, for example, I play a lot of skirmish games. That's obviously came across by this stage. If I were to suddenly have to paint a full AOS army, I would feel a massive amount of stress. But if it was the only thing that I was collecting, I could chip away at it. But it's not. There's like 3 Malifaux crews unpainted. I've got the entire Apex Legends Kickstarter staring at me on my desk. There's some Star Wars Shatterpoints Ghost crew behind me that are half done. Like, that's all fine because you can dip in and out. I think it's if at any point you just cannot get your head around playing a game or it doesn't become fun, whether that's playing one system or 40 systems, then obviously that's when you scale back. But I think it's a double-edged narrative, isn't it? Because you like there's that thing of like, do you push through? You know, if you just play one game and you kind of get sick of it, it's like part of like, I don't know if it's just British culture, but like, it's like, you know, you knuckle under and you push through. But at the same time, kind of in our modern view of mental health, it's like, just do something else, you know? So
It's probably a bit of both, isn't it? It's probably a bit of both.
It absolutely is. It's like not folding too early, but also not smacking your head against the brick wall. So there are games that my favorite game that exists currently is called Aristea. It's by Corvus Belli. It's a League of Legends like sci-fi sports game, kind of like Dead Zone is for Mantic, but just better. It sits on my shelf proudly. It's about 2/3 painted. We have this custom map by Deep Cut. We have beautiful terrain for it. It comes out maybe twice a year. Currently, because there's a video game being made of it and they're doing a new edition. But it comes out maybe twice a year when me and Courtney are like, it's Aristea time. At no point will that ever leave my shelf. And I understand the rules, and at no point will I ever be a competitive Aristea player because I don't play it enough. But like, that is always in my head, clear. Walking Dead I use with my students at school. Like, that's a great game to wheel off the shelf. It's always really, really fun. There are other systems that have dropped off, though, simply because if I'm not playing this enough, then you stay below the curve. A lot of systems that are cleaner have this issue. Guild Ball, characteristically, it was why it's cancelled in the first place, according to Steamforge. Like, you'd play a demo game, love it, and then you'd lose your next 100 games because everyone playing it was playing it on the reg. And you just get smashed. So I think having systems that are intuitive enough that the systems and the games are memorable, so that if you've not played it for a few weeks or months, that's great. But at the same time, being something that is fun that you want to paint or you want to do the hobbying on. So I've just painted a load of Galadrim for Lord of the Rings because I've had them since I probably started in the hobby. I think I bought a box like years and years ago. I was trying to replicate a paint scheme that I think I started in COVID. And I was like, it's some gold and blue, it'll work. And I just hadn't finished the second half, but there's been a new edition released, so obviously they've came off the shelf. We've got a Malifaux event we're hosting in a couple of weeks. There's a crew of journalists that I like to use, and I basically painted up. At the time, we were doing seasons of battle reports, so I was using one fixed crew against 3 friends, 3 different battle reports. So the only models I had painted was that fixed crew. So I was like, well, I'll round off the keyword now, and I will take that to the event. And then it's ticked off in my head that I've done that keyword. That's healthy. There are times when it feels unhealthy, is when it's like, oh my God, I've still got that sat on my shelf and it hasn't came out yet. So like I said, I look at the Fallout boxes at the moment and they just fill me with guilt. Because it's like that probably should have been something that I said no to. Or there's miniatures at the back that I'm really proud of painted that I just don't use anymore, like the Shadespire miniatures. I used to use the Warhammer Underworlds miniatures for the painting tutorials during COVID, because they are beautiful sculpts and they take contrast well, which is what I was doing at the time. But they ain't going to get used for anything. They literally sit there now as a pile of D&D miniatures for the kids at school. Like if I need some elves, I won't use my Lord of the Rings. I'll just pull out some Kenothi from that box. But they could probably be donated or go to a bin. So I think, that's where it hits too many. I think I definitely do find that sometimes I try something and it doesn't work out, and it's having the confidence to go, this doesn't work. Yeah. And it's usually when, I don't know about you, it's not the miniatures games that are chill, that don't require much brain power. It's the ones that are pushing for your like top 3 rotation. Yes. So what I mean by that is Infinity and Bushido, 2 phenomenal games, are games that I will never play. I own miniatures for both. I own core sets for both. I've painted up crews for both. They cannot get into the top 3 to get the amount of time that they need for me to be able to play them well enough to enjoy. So like I play Infinity and I'm thick. I suck at maths. Like AROs throw me off just by the way the movement is so dynamic. It's almost too dynamic for me. But like the ability to be able to play Infinity against anyone at any club or any event, I just cannot get to because I'm not going to play it enough. And Bushido is on a tiny 2x2 board and it's really straightforward, but I just cannot commit to the intricacies. Whereas we all turn around, like I said, and play Boroughs and Badgers, and I was like, that's fine. Because I play that once, the rules were on about 3 pages, and it's like, cool, that's done. Nice. Like that I never have to worry about that going into rotation. And I did have a worry with War Crow. So Corvus Belli were very, very kind and sent me the War Crow boxes. Mainly because we were just chatting about stuff on Instagram, like randomly, and they were like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And we were talking about the Scions are the Scions of Yaldabaoth, and without going into too much of a philosophy lecture for you, Yaldabaoth is known as the Demiurge. It's a Gnostic subsection of Christianity that existed in the first couple of centuries after Jesus' death, and it believed that the god that was the creator was the false god, basically. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. You've came up with this. And they were like, oh, someone's picked up on that design. And I was like, well, yeah, I kind of teach it. I know about this. So we were chatting about, like, where did you get the aesthetics for this? And they were like, well, you sound really interested. Do you want some of this? And I was like, hell yeah. The bloody box arrived. And I'm like, this is a lot of miniatures. Like, it really scared. But luckily, we had a few guys at the club that were picking it up. And I played it, and I was like, right, this is unique enough that it can sit in its own little compartment in my brain. It's not competing for the top 3 rotation. I don't have to push Malifaux out of my head or something else like that. So those kind of games are, I think, always able to go in. I think when you've got your top 3, whether it's Age of Sigmar or 40 again, you're having to like stay on top of it. Yes. And then a new game comes in and it's pushing for that and it can't get to there. I think you need to then be able to turn around and be like, I need to eBay this. Because, even if you've committed to painting it or you want to play it more often, hold on to it for 3 months, 6 months. If it doesn't get played, and when you do go to play it, you feel a trepidation of like, oh, I'm like basically back at square one, then maybe it goes elsewhere. If it's like, oh yeah, I've not played this in 6 months and I kind of know the gist and I can have a fun game with someone, then great. I'm never going to win the games that are in my top 3, let alone the other ones.
Yeah.
But if it's like, I can give someone a good game and feel proud, and I've kind of learned something for the next 6 months, and it's like, cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that was something I was going to talk about there as well, is that, giving someone a good game, it's like, because if a new codex has come out for your army since you last played it and you haven't got time to sit down and read the intricacy of it, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't want to play that, because I want the person to have a good game with me. Like, I want to be a viable competitor. And so if I just show up and I'm like, man, I ain't got any idea what I'm doing, I don't want to waste their time. So you need to meet someone as an equal, I think, whenever you play a game, right? And you got to feel like you're meeting them as an equal, a credible equal, right?
yeah, there's a requirement to know your rules, isn't there? There's a quite requirement to be that person, like, and I think we often talk about the social aspect of gaming. It is the most important one. Like, I couldn't care less if I win or lose the game. It's the time you spend with the other person. Mm-hmm. But part of that social contract is kind of being on the same level, at least, of where they're at.
Yeah.
So, like, if you both learn the game for the first time, then you both rock up with your rule books and you're like, I'll check that while you check this. But like, if it's something they play and you're playing them, then the kind of expectation is that you will at least be able to not have to go every 2 seconds. I don't know this, or I'm not got this points update, like you said.
Yeah.
And I think there's also a bit, you can tell me more about this, like where you are with the narrative of the game as well, in terms of the meta. Like those top 3 games that are in your rotations, you probably talk more actively about. Like, I could probably have quite a lengthy conversation about where Malifaux is going into its new edition.
Yeah.
I couldn't have a long conversation about 40k. So it's also, where's your opponent in that narrative? And it could be good or bad. You might be too into it and you might be like, oh, that new thing's broken or busted or sucks, and that's going to kind of yuck their yum. It's going to damage it that way. So it's all the intricacies that go into our little hobby of war dollies. But it is that thing of like, you and a mate, or you with someone you've never met. Even if I'm at an event, like the first thing I would do in an event, like I said, I really hate events. I go to them because I think, like, I lie to myself every 6 months and be like, you'll enjoy this, and I come back like, frazzled for a week. But the first thing and the last thing I do is like, do you want a drink? Like, go and buy him a drink, because like immediately I'm like, everything that comes in between those 2 drinks, great, and I'm going to do the best I can. But it's like, first thing is social.
That's cool, man. It's a good mentality to have. I really empathize.
I wish it could win me some games getting them more drunk, but it doesn't. No matter how many times I spike those drinks, I don't get the result.
But what you might not know is you could get crushed even heavier. But they go, you know what? I'm not going to fire that at you actually now, because you're a nice guy.
Yeah, that was a double shot he got me. I won't roll all my dice.
Well, that's cool. Anyway, mate, I feel like I could talk to you until the cows come home, mate. But we've got to move on. You've got a young son that you need to go and care for, and it's getting close to my bedtime. I need to go and move on. But thanks a lot for your time, Tom. We really appreciate it. It's been great having you on the show, and this has been quite a short turnaround as well. We kind of only reached out to you about a week ago, maybe even less than a week, a few days ago, and you're straight on. So it's been great to kind of form a connection with you so quickly, and no doubt we'll kind of continue to talk, and hopefully you can come again on the future, and we can talk about maybe something a little bit specific now we got to know you.
Yeah, it'd be great. Thank you very much for having me.
Nice. Just before you go, though, just remind us of podcasts you're associated with, YouTube channels that you're associated with, maybe a website if there is one, so if people have enjoyed the conversation, they can come and check you out.
Yeah, you will want to subscribe to Warriors Table Wargaming, which is basically every social media, Warriors Table Wargaming, or the Malifaux show if you are interested in Malifaux and you want to hear from casual clubby idiots who have wrestling belts and what they think about it. But Warriors Table Wargaming is the starting point. You can find everything else from there.
So there you go, episode 255, all wrapped up there, desperately looking in the background to see if 255 is accurate. Is it accurate? It is 255, all wrapped up there. Thanks a lot once more to Tom for coming onto the show. Really interesting chap with some very definite and definitive opinions on stuff, right? It'd be nice to kind of get a few beers in him and have a chat about certain stuff, because he's got a lot of stuff rattling around there that's coming out, which is nice. It's always good. It's always good to speak to people with opinions and different ideas about certain different things, and obviously some of those opinions really jive with you. Some of them might be contradictory to what you believe, and that's awesome. That's really, really good. I'm not saying that that's what happened during our show. No, the kind of his approach to the hobby, his approach to content is definite, right? He's definitely got some ideas and things like that, and that's really cool. Super nice. It'd be great to hit up some gaming tables that him and his friends are, because the games that they play, the way they seem to play them, seems to be pretty cool. And it's also, I think it came up during the show, it's like my old kind of stomping ground. The area that he's around is kind of like the triangle where I kind of grew up, the kind of Preston, Southport kind of area of northwest England is kind of where I grew up. So it was really nice speaking to somebody that's from there, and we spoke a little bit before the show and a little bit after the show about certain things about that area, and it's something that's really nice, living abroad for like 14 years now, just having, speaking to someone that's from the area that you were once from is pretty cool, and it's pretty nice. So again, if you're still listening, Tom, thank you for coming onto the show, not only for giving up your time so freely to chat about a hobby, but also just being a good chap and being a nice chap. And if you're a fan or a member of Warriors Tabletop Gaming and Wargaming, then brilliant, cool. It's really, really good to have you. Thank you for listening along to the show, and even more for sticking around for the post ramble. We really appreciate it. Hobby stuff. I am still chewing through my Rose Knights. I'm pretty much done with them, so I've kind of done all of the base layers, and I put on all the washes now for the units. So there's 24. I had to go down from 36 to 24. 36 was just too much, man. I just was not enjoying having 36 Rose Knights, so I made the decision to go down to just doing 24 of them. That's 2 units for a Song of Ice and Fire Baratheon Rose Knights, and I was kind of really struggling with the batch painting last weekend, so instead of just kind of going through the batch, I kind of put a wash on all of them, and then I took one guy, and I kind of took that one guy through to completion. So there's one guy that I took through to completion just to kind of solidify the paint scheme in my mind, and also just to do something a little bit different. So I kind of did highlights for the green cloaks and things. I did the highlights for the kind of ivory fabric. I did his shield and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was really good to kind of take one guy through to fruition. You can see that on the Facebook page. You can see it on the Discord or any other thing. I kind of put it up there, so it's nice. It was good. It's trying to get that balance between decent quality from tabletop distance, but also it being achievable with 24 of the guys, so knowing when to stop is something that's never an exact science, but I think I took that guy to an okay level, and it'll look pretty good within a unit of 12, and also when the basing is done. So yeah, but swing by and take a look at that, and I'm always interested in feedback and what you guys think of it. And it'd be really interesting to see what you guys have been up to. Let's have a quick look through the work in progress section of the Discord. Ed has been doing some old school mid hammer or old hammer orcs. That's been really cool. And Linux Pop has been doing a whole bunch of armigers. So he did like a Warhammer 40k Knight a while ago in a certain colour scheme. It's like a vivid blue colour scheme, and now he's doing a whole bunch of armigers, and he's been doing those batch painting like me, so I've been really looking at them because he's been doing batch paint. I think 5 of them he's been doing, so it's been really good to kind of see him kind of painting up all the individual parts. So Linux Pop, nice one, good, that's really, really cool. Mark's been painting some Bretonnian guys, and he's also been painting some Wood Elves. He's been kind of primed them and getting them going. That's really, really good. What else we got? John Dawson's been doing some tanks for Achtung Panzer, which is a Warlord Games game, which I'd really like to play, actually. There's a whole bunch of tank games now. What a Tanker from Two Fat Lardies is pretty good, and you've also got Achtung Panzer from Warlord Games, and you've also got, I think it's called Tanks now, but the guys over at Battlefront who make Flames of War, they made a tanks game, which I think was called Tanks. But now, no, it was called Tanks. Now it's called World of Tanks. So they actually built up an affiliation with the video game World of Tanks. So there's a few tank games on the tabletop now, which is really, really good. And John Dawson has been painting up some Shermans, and he's also got an M10 Wolverine there, I think, that he's been painting up for Achtung Panzer. And also Boondock Actual. He's been painting a whole bunch of terrain. I think he went to a game show a while ago, and he picked up some kind of resin terrain, boulders, and I think there's like a cave that he bought and a few different things. So he's putting together some awesome terrain with flock and grit and gravel and trees and different patches of mosses and stuff like that. So that's been really good. I could go through more, but you know what? If you like the sound of that and it's interesting, go and take a look yourself. Come and have a look, because there's a whole bunch of people doing lots of interesting things on their Discord. It's always interesting to see it. I have been embarking on a movie binge. Binge suggests that it's temporary, right? It's like a lot of things in a temporary time. But you know what I've really missed since having kids is like films. I've really, really missed films. So living kind of internationally, you never really want to invest too much in stuff because you know you're going to eventually move. It's not home. So I've been really missing movies since we had the kids, because I don't really want to watch movies loudly because they're asleep and I don't want to wake them up. And equally, if they're awake or going to sleep, I don't want them to be hearing kind of like violent noises or sexual noises or like swear words when they're sleeping. I don't know if this is correct or not, but I think a certain amount of that, even if they're asleep, maybe a certain amount of that noise is going to kind of leak into their consciousness. Maybe not. I don't know. This is not based on any sort of science. But I've always been reluctant to watch movies at how I want to watch movies because of the kids kicking around. So I decided to change that this year. When I got back from my holiday, I decided to invest in a better TV, and I also got a set of headphones and the ability to play the movie noise through it's like proper nerdy play the noise from the movies through headphones, but I want to watch them with my wife too. So we got a wire that runs from a preamp into a headphones jack, and the headphones wire has got a splitter. So me and my wife, we can sit on the sofa and we can both have our individual headsets on, and we can listen to movies. So when I verbalize that sounds proper geeky. So but we both sit there on the sofa with our headphones on and we watch movies. But the end of the story is, it's amazing. It's been really good, man. So I created like a little movie diary. So I've got the date that we watched the movie, I've got the title of the movie, obviously, and I've got the general theme, which I write, and then both of us, me and my wife, we put a little rating out of 10 for the movies that we watch. And so we're steadily working through my movie collection, and we're kind of giving things grades. We're talking about it a little bit, which is good. And what the best thing is that I'm able to watch movies again, which is amazing, because I've never really been a huge TV fan of, like, just watching TV just because TV's on, right? Turn the TV on and finding something to watch. I want to be much more kind of proactive with the things that I watch, that I want to watch that, so I'll turn the TV on and watch that, or I'll watch that movie because I want to watch that movie. So I've got a whole list of movies that I want to watch. From like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb and different kind of things, and so we're slowly, steadily working through that movie collection, and that's been really, really good. It's another way to disconnect from my regular work day. So I've got my hobby, I've got video games, I've got obviously my family, and I've got movies. So if you're interested in doing that sort of thing, and you're like me and you really miss watching movies, since you became a parent, or you live in an apartment that's got like paper thin walls, and your neighbors kind of start honking on your walls with a mop handle or a broom handle whenever you start trying to listen to movies, give me a shout. I can't say that what I do is the best, but I can give you the benefit of my successes and failures and thought processes to get that going. But I'm super enjoying it. So we watched 10 Cloverfield Lane, we watched 12 Angry Men, we watched 12 Strong, 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi, 1917, 28 Days Later, and just last night we watched 28 Weeks Later. So if you're into movies, come and swing by the Discord chat, because I love movies, and I love talking about movies. So if you like talking about movies too, come and swing by the Discord server so we can have a chat, and you can maybe give me some suggestions for movies moving forwards. That is enough for the post ramble. I think that's a pretty lengthy kind of chattage about movie stuff. I hope that you're all well. I hope that you're keeping it on an even keel, whatever it is you're up to. I hope that you are enjoying it, and reach out and connect with people, whether it's someone that's associated with Paint on Minis, someone that's not. Connect with people, chat to people, send them an email, send them a text message, go and knock on the door and ask them if they're all right. Go out for a drink, go out for a coffee, because forming and maintaining relationships is what life is all about. So, until next time we're together, keep painting.